Hello, I'm bringing you my new version of the shotgun build. I've changed it only a little bit. If you take a look at the points, I believe the distribution of the points is still exactly the same in terms of the trees. But they've been reassigned a little bit to get rid of skills that we're actually not using and use them somewhere where it's actually helpful. I've been messing with a couple other skills over in Command for adrenaline builds and all that kind of stuff, or like strong armed to figure out how they work and whether they're useful. But we'll get into that in just a second once we get to the skills themselves. But let's start off with just the weapons. I'm currently using the Reinfeld. The other shotguns still work as usual. It's still up to personal preference. The reason I'm using the Reinfeld is just that I can clear more, in quotes, armies of cops when there is a bunch of them without having to reload that quickly. I used to run the Mosconi, but obviously you have 2 shots and then you have to reload. Or you fire 1 shot and reload since it's a little bit faster. So I opted in to use the Reinfeld. It sucks at range, it doesn't one-shot the snipers, but it's still pretty good otherwise. Secondary weapon is still up to your choice. I'm still sticking with the strike, even though it's not the best one. It's just an accurate pistol, that's why I like it. Overkill weapon still up to your choosing. I choose Sociopath for that immunity and that running speed and getting adrenaline and stuff, obviously. The armor I have changed. I've changed from the Saboteur frame down to the Mech Take frame. In theory, it doesn't really matter what you run. I felt that the Medtech frame is the most optimal to run. Specialist frame we don't really care about because we don't care about the tool that we're running. And we have enough ammo with shotguns that a single plate is just fine. The key benefits of the Medtech frame, well, I'm using the adaptive version here. The key benefits obviously is, well, speed penalty doesn't matter. Do the consumable slots go up? Yeah, consumable slots go up by 1. That doesn't matter too much, but can be helpful at times. We don't care about the ammo capacity. The speed penalty is no different between the two, even though the specialist frame says it has a speed penalty of light that actually doesn't exist. Still doesn't exist. But mainly the plate regen goes down. I opted in using the adaptive plate, surprisingly, just because it comes with a little bit of damage reduction. We don't care about losing that 1 max down that we could potentially have. 3 downs is still more than fine. But what I was mainly interested in is that I can fully regen the plate every time. And it comes with a short cooldown of 1.8 seconds. Then one could think, well, why not just run the resistant plate? It's a good option to run the resistant plate. The resistant plate is just that it will permanently take damage over time. So you will eventually have to refresh it with either armor repair kits that you find around the maps, or with your armor bag, which, in case you haven't noticed, I'm actually bringing armor bags. But to me, it just felt like the Medtech frame with the adaptive plate is the best. Feel free to try the other ones. You can even try impact plate, of course. It's really just that felt the best to me. It's like this little sweet spot with the damage reduction that is just fine, where you can rush through armies. And if you get sniped, it doesn't matter which plate you run, it's just gonna break anyways. So yeah, kinda didn't matter too much. The Throwables, I'm actually using the shock grenades because I'm running no throwable skills at all anymore. The shock grenades are just nice for some shields to get rid of sometimes, because it's a bit annoying to shoot their visors sometimes. But you can technically use any kind of throwable that you want. It just felt like the shock grenade is the most viable. Armor bags, we're using armor bags. Or I guess deployables, we're using armor bags. Reason being, we're actually having armor-related skills, because it just happened to align that way. Plus, in case the adaptive plate does break, we can restock on it. Tool, as mentioned, doesn't matter, bring whatever you want. So now, in terms of the skills, we got rid of Scavenger. We don't need that, we don't care about throwables. It's literally just these 2 or 3 shock grenades that you get are like a nice to have kind of goodie thing. Once again, we go up the Juggernaut tree to mainly get Bastion and Beast of Burden. I no longer run Beast of Burden aced. I believe Kknowley's kind of right about it. The aced version kind of doesn't really help too much. I'm still not 100% sure how exactly it works. Basically, how it felt like that there is always a movement penalty no matter which kind of bags you have doubled up with. And there is especially a higher movement penalty when you run heavy bags. Basically, it kind of felt like every single bag is sort of like a heavy bag. It's just not a light bag, except for like paintings, maybe, and like the small jewelry bags, and maybe cokes. These are like the only ones that sort of felt like they're not really that heavy. So I felt like, nah, the aced version is not really worth going for, and I can use these 3 points somewhere else. And that happened to align perfectly, because now we actually also have Armored Up aced, so we have more armor back charges, and we have Armored Up 2, which gives us a second armor back deployable. So overall we have 6 plus 6, so 12. 12 times where we can repair the armor bag, or the armor plates, I mean, with armor bags, and we can deploy 2 of these. So it's pretty handy for your team as well. But yeah, the usual extra protection. We technically don't care about the aced version too much, but we needed the points to reach tier 4. Because overall it's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. And you need 8 skills to unlock tier 4 for Bastion, because obviously Bastion is just broken. And we also have Headcut aced, so in case we do actually make headshots, our cooldown of the armor goes down quicker. So nothing too crazy, we get damage reduction. So our overall damage reduction is actually not 25%, it's more like, I think, 35% or something like that. Because it's 10 points that we invested. Or 10 skills, I guess. And every skill adds 1%. And then in Ninja, we completely ditched the smoke grenades because I realized we're just never going to use those. It's just so incredibly rare that escape artist even triggers, as long as you're careful with the snipers a bit and with the bulldozers. So everything went into Ghost Tree. What mainly changed here is that we went with Under Pressure aced and Locksmith basic. Locksmith is a really nice quality of life tool to just one-shot lockpick everything. It helps in multiple heists. And Under Pressure aced is kinda nice to have because you occasionally get this little bit of adrenaline every time you dodge the bullet. So not only do you completely avoid damage, you also get adrenaline, which is like a sort of an additional kind of little bit of shield on top of your armor plate. The only downside for having this is in case the enemy bullet does enough damage to break through your adrenaline and armor plate at the same time, you don't notice that your plate is broken, meaning there is no audio cue that the armor plate is broken. Since we're only running one plate, there should always be an audio cue when it breaks because that was your last armor plate. But I realized that sometimes this doesn't happen. And then obviously the remaining stuff is just to bring up your dodge chance as high as possible, which is an insane amount, by the way, especially since we're running only one plate, we can easily reach the 60%. I believe it starts off with like 30-something% already, so it's incredibly high. And it just goes up insanely fast. So we'll be getting a lot of dodges and we'll be getting a lot of adrenaline fast. So this is always a little bit of shield that we kind of have before it starts damaging the armor plate itself. And then in the mechanic, that's still the same. We just have the classic shotgunner skills. We don't care about speed loader aced, even though it'd be nice to have. And we technically don't care about stockpile, but we needed the skill points to actually reach tier 4. Well, tier 3 and then tier 4. What I was saying before is I was testing strong armed aced as well. It felt completely useless, because the only case where strong armed aced comes into play is when you're carrying a single bag. It doesn't work when you're carrying multiple bags. I've tested that specifically with me not having the skill equipped, but having Beast of Burden aced, and my friend having Beast of Burden aced as well, and strong armed equipped aced on boys in blue gold bags. We literally just walked along the vault, and There was no difference when we both carried the bags, but when we carried a single bag, he was faster. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why this doesn't work with the double bags, but yeah. That's probably going to answer a little bit of the question as to what's better, strong arm haste or beast of burden haste. Beast of burden haste is better, trust me. There's very, very few chances where you're actually just carrying a single bag that's also classified as heavy. But yeah, that's my build. It works pretty well. Again, feel free to adapt to your needs. But overall, this felt like the build for me to run. One thing I like to mention once again is that Berserker Aced, so the reload and fire shotguns while sprinting, suffers from the same bug as Underrun Aced, shoot and reload SMGs while sprinting or sliding. It's exactly the same bug. There is a good chance that for some reason you just won't be able to reload your weapons anymore, in which case you have limited bullets and there's no way so far to sort of fix that mid-heist. You have to actually finish it. Even going into custody won't work. In terms of the Rheinfeld, that's extra bad since it's a pump action shotgun, because you always have to do that little mid-reload after every shot. It actually breaks that mid-reload too, so that's a little bit of an issue there. But yeah, nothing we can do about it. It still feels like the strongest build. I mean, even if your guns break, you have a lot of dodge chances, you got a lot of armor for you and your teammates. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this build and have fun.